I feel a lot better right now than I have in Januaries in the past. And, we've added a lot of things into my routine to hopefully, allow for that longer season and to stay healthy through that whole ordeal.
Hey Jordan, what's up, man? I'm excited to have you on.
Awesome, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so had Steele on recently. He told me that he golfs with you a lot. Now, is it true that he never uses his driver?
He hardly, I mean, it takes me like trying to convince him to hit his driver off the tee
Okay.
box. But I mean, if I hit my 3-wood or 3 hybrid or whatever the heck it is he hits, as far as he hits it, I probably wouldn't use the driver either. But he's a lot of fun to golf with, especially both being left-handed. It's a good time.
He did tell me it's the 3 hybrid.
Yeah.
How far is he hitting that thing?
I mean, he outdrives me with his 3 hybrid. Now I have given up the days of trying to hit the ball a long ways. Having 2 oblique strains will, make it like, I'm just going to kind of throw it out there and however far it goes. So, which is crazy because, probably what I should have been doing from the beginning, because now that I don't try and hit it as far, my scores are a lot better. But,
Not crazy.
It's funny how that works.
Whenever I get paired with like a super old guy, and you can just tell he's only going to give it like a 40% swing. It's always down the middle. It's such a boring game, but like they end up like hitting low 80s every time.
Oh, yeah.
Here I am trying to crush the ball, and my best score ever is an 86, and most of the time I'm barely breaking 100. So
yeah, it's the way to play. I mean, it's you look at these guys and they it's like right down the middle every time. They don't ever lose their ball. They can play like 3 rounds with the same ball, hit it right down the middle, and it's like, man, I need to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I've been noticing a few like photos / videos with you out the glasses recently. Have you been incorporating contacts, or what's going on there?
Yeah, so I do contacts. Most of the time, if I don't have anything like baseball related. So if I'm like, out to dinner, if I'm, doing whatever, I'll just put my contacts in. Just kind of makes it easier. But if I'm lifting or throwing or anything like that, like I'll wear the glasses. It's just my contacts are good enough. I don't like relying on contacts, because sometimes contacts can be a little finicky, and the time for them to be finicky is not in the 3rd inning of, a start at Wrigley. That's not something that I want to deal with during the year. So we just roll with the glasses, and like if I, am off that day or just hanging out on the bench, I might throw them in or whatever, but it's few and far between. I don't use them every day. I'd say probably like once or twice a week.
Contacts plus wind at Wrigley is not a good combination.
No, it's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Hey, listen, I know you're pretty outward about your faith. Just talk to me about that a little bit. In life, in the sport, like how does that incorporate for you on a daily basis?
Yeah, for me, I mean, it's everything for me. God is the reason why I'm here, the reason I'm able to do what I do, and he's blessed me with this platform that I have. And so for me, I feel like the best way I can use it is to, be active and be public about my faith, and, hopefully lead more and more people to, wonder about it, look into it, and, hopefully accept Jesus Christ in their life. One of the best people for me and my faith has been, my wife. When I was in high school, we first started dating. And I had always wanted to know more about it. For me, we didn't go to church much when I was younger. Not that we weren't believers or anything like that. My family just took more of the, approach of you're free to, explore whichever way you want. Like if that's the way you want to go, great, but they kind of let us do it in our own time. And so me meeting my wife, I was like, I don't know anything. And for me, it was a nervous thing for me, because I was like, I don't want to, I'm nervous going into these Bible studies, these, church sessions about like, if I like know nothing, like I don't want to make a fool of myself, like talking about something. And the church community that we have back home was so welcoming, so open. And my wife helped me a lot. We do, you know, a Bible study every night, just the two of us reading and talking about stuff like that. And it's been so just great for my life. And it's just given me a lot of peace and just allowing a lot of the things that are the uncontrollables to just be, you know, controlled by the Lord, and me putting my faith in him and letting him handle that stuff has taken, you know, a lot of worry and a lot of stress off my shoulders.
I'm a person of faith as well, and I can tell you, like, being a competitor, it's hard to sometimes keep your faith at the forefront when you're frustrated, or, you know, for me, I shank a golf ball. For you, it might be giving up a long ball. Like, you know, how do things slip still?
I keep it internal.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's, you know, I do a good job of I feel like keeping what's on the field on the field.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't bring work home with me. You know, I keep it at the field. I try to be the same person every night when I get home with my wife, because, you know, the part of me that really likes that is, you know, when we have kids and we have a family one day, you know, my kids aren't going to care if I, you know, gave up 6 runs or, you know, went 7 shutty or whatever it is. They're going to, you know, they're going to want their dad to be home and to spend time with them. And so for me, it's been about practicing that and working on that, so that way when we do have kids, it's an easy transition for me to just go home and spend time with my family and be there for my kids. So that way, you know, I can be the role model and the father that they need.
I'll tell you what, once you have a toddler, we're in the middle of toddler stage right now, then your patience will be tested, sir. Good luck. That's all I have to say.
That's awesome.
All right. I heard you lived in London for like 3 months as a kid. What brought that about?
Yeah, so my mom is a college professor back home at Hendrix College in Arkansas. She teaches political science, and she took college students over there to study abroad when I think I was 9 years old when we went. And so I was over there as a 9-year-old kid, and I remember the first day we got there, I hated it. I was like, get me out of here. I was like, well, of course, I'm pretty sure I was also extremely jet lagged. I just didn't know what jet lag was.
Sure.
And I'm like, you know, I'm a 9-year-old kid in a place I have no idea where we are. And I'm like, I don't like this place. Get me out of here. And that lasted about a day. And then after that, I was like, this place is awesome. So we got to go to a lot of English Premier League matches. We got to watch a lot of those in person. Those were so much fun. The fan bases over there are insane. You talk about taking it to another level. I mean, it is crazy. And the cool thing about being over there is that's, you know, so much different from the US is like over there, it's so common to like go from country to country. So like you can, you know, take a weekend trip to Spain or to Italy or to, you know, wherever, because realistically, like the size of those countries over there, it's a lot like driving to different states here. You know, they take trains, go everywhere there. It's honestly like trains are like pretty much, I think, about as big of a transportation over there as like flying to the other countries, because they're not nearly as spread out as, you know, like the US to wherever, honestly. So that was an unbelievable experience. I want to go back and take my wife and kind of show her, you know, this is where I went to school for a semester. This is the park where my brother and I used to come and play soccer with the guys that were here. And, you know, it was just an unbelievable experience, an experience I'm so thankful for. And, you know, I'm excited to hopefully go back one day.
You know, I'm always curious, whenever like the World Baseball Classic happens, you get a little bit more of that Premier League type of fan thing going on. And then, you know, all of the fans are like, oh, why can't the MLB be like this all the time? But as a player, do you feel like the chill, laid back feel of the fans allows you to be a little bit more present and focus on your craft rather than getting caught up in the moment of all the fans going nuts and crazy? Or like, which would you rather play under? What kinds of fans?
For me as a pitcher, I feel like a little bit of the calmer vibe, which Wrigley's got a unique blend of it. like it can be very, calm. And there's always the thing I like is the kind of the white noise in the background, like the kind of background noise of just,
Yeah.
people and stuff. It's almost like a calming deal. But then they also get, and that's the good thing about Cubs fans is they're great baseball fans because they understand this is a part of the game we got to get loud for. This is, the big moment. This is when the team needs us. We need to get, up and at them. And it's really cool blend of both of them. And I'm really interested to see when we go over to Japan, how different the fans are. And obviously I know like we're going over there playing the Dodgers. That's going to be an unbelievable atmosphere, unbelievable scenario. But I'm really excited to like play the two exhibition games against like the Japanese teams in Japan and kind of see how that atmosphere is.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, you brought it up. I wasn't going to bring it up, but you said the Dodgers. So, I mean, what do you think about just the monopoly that they're becoming?
I don't see anything wrong with it. I think what they're doing is something that, a lot of teams could do. I think it's something to where teams have the ability to do what they're doing. The deferred payments is very interesting. They've kind of got all in on that side, which has allowed them to do more currently. I think the one thing that'll be interesting is how does that look, 6 years down the road, 7 years down the road, where they're trying to bring in more guys and they've got these deferred payments. Are they just going to defer more? Are they going to, I think that'll be the real interesting part. But obviously, they're building an unbelievable team over there. But like I said, it is baseball. I mean, you look at the last couple of years, obviously they won it last year as them and the Yankees, but the last couple of years before that, it hasn't really been like the number one seeds in the World Series. Like it's been some of those wild card teams and the teams that get hot. And everybody knows when it comes to the postseason, it's whoever gets hot and goes on that run that a lot of times makes it. It's who's playing well at the right time. A lot of times, not always, the most talent.
I think it was Chris Rose on his show the other day. He said of the last 25 seasons, the team with the best record won the World Series. I think it was only like 6 times.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's that level of like, you got to get hot. To the deferral thing, I don't know if you knew this, but Jed talked about it at CubsCon. So like Shohei Ohtani, right? He deferred $68 million a year.
Yeah.
Well, apparently the Dodgers still have to feed like $45 million per year into an escrow account. So like it still goes somewhere. So like that kind of confused me of like, all right, if it's going to go into an account, why wouldn't it just go into Shohei's pocket? Why not just defer like, I don't know, only 25 million instead of 68 million? That was kind of weird to me. Did you know anything about that, or is that news to you?
No, I mean the little intricacies of all those deals are definitely like they're very complex, and it's a lot of things that like the public doesn't know, because a lot of times they just hey, it's 10 years for 700 million, and everybody thinks it's just concrete of oh, it's 70 million every year, but a lot of times it's very different. Sometimes there's incentives, sometimes there's different things, and a lot of times like some of the players don't even know what all makes up the deal. So yeah, it's very interesting. Part of me thinks it's a great move by Shohei, because I think you're dodging some of the taxes that go along with it. But like I said, I can't speak on if that's why he wanted to do it or whatever. But I'm if that was what went into it, then I think that's a great move by him.
California taxes, they'll get you. I mean, Illinois is not much better.
No,
but
a little bit, not much.
Little bit, but not a whole lot. Listen, I want to move into just kind of talking about last season and then looking forward to this season. Last year, I mean, I got to imagine the frustration. You've come out with just a ton of probably self expectations, I would imagine, after coming up in 23 and showing your stuff, and then after maybe the first 4 weeks, you end up going down with the forearm issue. You're out for 5 weeks, come back, pitching 2 games. Now you're out with an oblique injury for 3 months. And I looked at your college career going into the minors too, it didn't look like you had any really major injuries. So, I mean, was that just a mental game for you of having to sit out as long as you did?
Yeah, it was the toughest year of my career for sure. The most injury time obviously I've missed in my career to this point. I think one of the tough parts is I felt like I was really starting to hit a groove. Even coming back from the forearm deal, I felt like I was throwing the ball really well and I was in a groove. Um, and then you miss like 2.5 months with that oblique, and it's really difficult to get back on track there. The thing I feel like that kind of threw it off the rails is baseball is a hard enough game without doing the start and stop of playing hurt playing that's tough for your body to get into that rhythm of all right, I'm out here, I'm doing this, especially like me, I was blessed before that last year where I hadn't really dealt with any major injury stuff like that. And so that was a tough thing for me to kind of figure out, okay, this is what I need to do to coming back, this is what it looks like, and all those things. And part of where I messed up at the end of last year was coming back off of that, 2.5 months down with the oblique, was like, I felt like I was trying to fix 7 things at one time, pitching wise, like I'm trying to, this isn't working. And I'm trying to, fix all of this stuff at one time. And, where everybody else is in mid-season form. So it kind of looked at to me like, it's kind of like trying to catch a moving train while you're running. You're trying to run and jump on at the same time. It was definitely difficult, but I think I believe everything happens for a reason. And, my thing is I always try to take something from even the negatives in the career. So I look at it and I go, okay, had a rough year last year. What do we need to fix going forward? Like, what can I take from it and learn and move forward? And for me, it was, getting my body back to a position where it needed to be. The off season before, I feel like I messed up a little bit as far as like I wanted to add strength, try and add velo, do all this stuff to put me in a good position, and I don't feel like I kept up with the other things well enough, like the other pieces that go into staying healthy, because it's not just strength; it's all of these little things that go into it. And so for me, this off season, it was a lot better. We did a lot better job of, understanding the cardio aspect, the core strength, Pilates, all that sort of stuff, and kind of coming up with a well-rounded plan as opposed to, I'm going to add, X amount of strength and, that's going to be the fix, because obviously it wasn't.
So since you brought up velocity, I looked something up here. In 2023, you had 4 pitches at 94 miles an hour or higher. In 2024, you only threw 11 more innings in 2024. Guess how many pitches you threw at 94 or higher?
Oh man, I'd probably say closer to probably 45 or something like that.
You're close, 52. Very good guess.
Yeah.
Very good
Yeah.
guess. So with all the talk now of like velocity is causing injuries,
Mm-hmm.
and even just equating it to the golf game, right? Of just not trying to swing out of your shoes. Do you feel like that contributed to the injury? And should we expect to see more of 2023 Wicks where it's, hey, I'm going to be sitting 92, 93 most of the time, or are you going to try to incorporate the higher velocity with just better training?
So part of me thinks, and I understand this because, people didn't see me in 2023 before I got up there. But the velocity of 24, at least toward the front end, is more normally around where I'm at. Like I more normally hover that 93 range.
Okay.
When I came up in 23, toward the end of that year, my velocity really tinkered off toward the end of that year. And we relied on the sinker a whole lot more to get ground balls and just generate contact and stuff like that. So for me, it's almost kind of trying to use that blend of keeping the velocity. And for me, it's about staying healthy. It's about putting my body in the best shape that I can. And whatever velocity we have that day, because your velocity is going to fluctuate so much throughout the season. Whether you're not going to throw as hard in Wrigley in April as you might in Wrigley in July. Like there's a lot of factors that go into stuff like that, whether it be the cold or whatever it is. But I'm hoping to just my goal is just to stay healthy, and wherever the velocity's at, it is. And I feel great. I feel a lot better right now than I have in Januaries in the past. And we've added a lot of things into my routine to hopefully allow for that longer season and to stay healthy through that whole ordeal.
You ended up losing 20 pounds this offseason. Doing what with your wife?
Pilates. Getting my butt kicked in Pilates by my wife
so should we expect to see like Jake Arrieta type of photo in a sports magazine coming out with you doing Pilates, or what?
I don't know if we're gonna go that far. If Jake Arrieta, however, not a bad guy to try and follow in his footsteps. He was pretty good.
Yeah,
he was pretty good. But yeah, I'm hoping to just keep the core strength of it, the flexibility of it. I've really enjoyed it as like a second, kind of almost like an accessory workout type deal to my original lifts. I feel like it's something to where I feel like I can still get a good workout in while not lifting that day, and kind of keeping that load management. So I've really enjoyed it.
So why Pilates? Just because she invited you, or like was there a different plan going into the off season?
For me, it was a lot about helping strengthen the core and the oblique and things like that I had heard in the past. And hoping that increasing the core strength and the mobility, because that's the great thing about Pilates is it combines strength with the ability to move and the mobility aspect of it. So I love that. And it's also it's a workout. It is a workout. And my wife makes it look incredibly easy. And I do not, but I make it through it. And I've definitely gotten better at it.
Now, how have you felt, especially now that you're in Arizona and you're throwing in everything, down 20 pounds with the stronger core? Like, how does that feel different than maybe last year?
Yeah, it just feels like, for me, it just feels like you're able to move, the movement aspect. I feel like I can move more efficiently. I can handle that movement a lot better. And the other thing I'm hoping comes out of it is just hoping to go deeper into games, hoping to have that help me go deeper into games, because then I feel like I can hopefully take some of the stress off of the bullpen, to whereas last year I felt like I added a lot of stress to the bullpen, because a lot of times I would go 4 innings, taking out in the fifth, stuff like that, and then we're in our pen earlier, which is something we don't want.
So speaking of just like trying to stay in shape and also being on different programs, with Tyler Zombro coming in, that feels like the type of guy that can also kind of guide you in the right place to make sure that you're maximizing everything, but you're also staying healthy during the season. Is that a guy that either A, that you've talked to already, or B, that you're looking forward to talking to and working with so that you can be proactive about these things?
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk to him. I'm really excited to hear what he's got to say. I think anytime you bring in a guy like that, you're really interested to hear, some of the ideas he has, and kind of why he thinks of certain things the way he does. I met him at CubsCon. Didn't get to talk to him a whole lot. Didn't, was just going to leave it for spring training. I'll see him plenty in spring training. But yeah, I'm definitely interested for him to come out here and see, what he thinks, what his feedback is, and just kind of pick his brain a little bit, because obviously it's a guy that's had a lot of success in the field, and is really good at what he does. That's obviously why we brought him in. And so anytime you bring in really skilled people, you want to try and learn from them as much as you can.
So the starting pitching rotation right now, I would say, you've got your 3 in Shota, Tyone, and Steele.
Mhm.
If Boyd is healthy, he's in there, and then there's kind of this mix of you, Assad, Colin Ray, maybe a few others, depending on Ben
Mhm.
Brown and Kate Horton's health. Has the organization reached out to you going into spring training, saying like, "Hey, you're going to be, competing for a rotation spot," or "Hey, we see you being more of a swing man in the beginning, and then middle of the season, if things are going well, bring you into the rotation full time." Is there any sort of conversations like that being had?
Not a whole lot. I think when we have those conversations, they more happen towards spring training.
Okay.
I think the beauty of what the organization has done from a rotation and pitching side of things is it provides us with a lot of flexibility.
Hmm.
So you have a lot of guys to where, we obviously had guys go down last year, whether me, Ben, Cade in AAA, guys like that. And so I think the one thing they've done is create a lot of flexibility to where, they can, if they need to spot start somebody in this situation or, throw somebody out of the pen or do whatever, it provides them with a lot of options, which is something you're going to need throughout a 162 game season because, like I learned last year, injuries are part of it. They sneak up on you. You can, try to prevent them as much as you can, but, sometimes you just, have freak incidents and, you talk about one of the ones last year when you talk about freak injuries that happen is Steele on opening day. I mean that's just a
Right.
crazy
Yeah.
there ain't nothing you can do about
No.
that. I mean it's just one of those deals, and so you got to have flexibility in a team to make it through a 162 game season and stay sharp. I'm a guy that's going to try and compete for a big league spot. I understand I'm in the competition for it. So for me, it's just I want to get out there and try and help us win games. If that's starting, if it's coming out of the pen, if it's being a swing man and eating innings out of the pen, whatever that may be. I want to pitch in games that matter, and I want to help us win ball games.
So the game is changing a lot, especially from a starting pitcher perspective. And, you look back in 2016 when the Cubs won the World Series and you had the same five guys going out there every fifth day, and they were pitching typically into the sixth inning, seventh inning, or even later. Now you see Jed and Carter talking about, hey, we're just looking for the best group of guys to complete 1,400 innings of work. If you do the math, 162 games times 9 is right around 1,400. That mindset feels a lot more like we're just going to piece together whatever we can do to get to 1,400 innings. And in this last Cubs con, it sounded like even maybe a 6-man rotation or just giving guys off and switching guys in and out every once in a while is going to be maybe a little bit more common. So as a starting pitcher, do you like knowing, hey, every fifth day or every X amount of day I'm going to be out there? Or does your body react to it being okay of like, hey, sometimes I'm going to pitch 2 or 3 innings and then maybe 2 weeks later I'm going to be making a spot start? How does your body react to either one of those?
I think for me it's just it's about being out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because honestly, I made one appearance. My first appearance coming back from the forearm was out of the bullpen in
Right.
Cincinnati, and
Yep.
I honestly really liked it.
You did
It
well.
was something different,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed coming out of the pen. I had to kind of take some deep breaths, making that's a long jog in from the outfield before you go out there and throw. But yeah, I mean, I liked it because we've got a good group of guys that have done both,
Okay.
that have pitched out of the pen, that have started and all this stuff. So I was able to talk to them about, hey, what do I do in this situation? And the relievers were great when I was out there. They were like telling me, hey, this is probably your type of situation. Like, so I would start being ready, and you kind of knew. You could kind of read the ball game of like, okay, this is happening. So I feel like I could go in this situation, or if this happens, I need to start moving around. And I also kind of liked it because I could, if you go back and look at it, that was my hardest average velo of the year. because I could, I could go in there knowing that, there's probably guys coming in behind me, when the situation comes up. So you don't have to, as a starter, where you have to kind of save the tank for
Yeah.
the fifth and the sixth and that sort of stuff. You go in there out of the pen and you can just let it eat from the start. And I really enjoyed going in there, just letting it eat in the first and second inning, because that's something that I had never really done before. And so I enjoyed it. I didn't mind it. And so, for me, it's like, whenever I get the opportunity to go out there, I'm thankful for it.
Awesome. Couple more questions, and I want to get to our fan questions here. Cliff Lee. How do you know Cliff Lee?
So Cliff is from about 45 minutes from where I'm from in Arkansas. He's from a town called Benton, Arkansas, which is right outside of where my wife went to high school. And so my brother-in-law played at Arkansas, played for the Nationals in 22, and played pro ball for a while. And so him and Cliff were close. He would ask Cliff, or he would talk to Cliff while he was coming up, just questions and stuff like that. And so he got me connected with him. And Cliff was nice enough to be like, any question I have that I shoot to him, he's like, this is this, or I've showed him video of, my cutter that I was throwing in 23 that I didn't throw so much last year, that we're hopefully going to bring back this year.
Cool.
Was kind of one he showed me like, hey, this is kind of how I, threw mine, and I really liked it. And so, just being able to pick his brain, a guy that has pitched in so many big games that he has, and just being able to talk to him has been great. He's an awesome guy, and has never once hesitated whenever I had a question.
When I heard that you knew him, I was kind of like, well, I actually can see some similarities in the mechanics too. Was there any, if not him, is there anyone that you did try to idolize your mechanics, your delivery from?
I was a big Cole Hamels and Lester fan coming up. I loved watching Cole Hamels pitch. Obviously the changeup, and then I loved Lester's just mentality on the mound, because if you when you watch John pitch, it looked like he was out there, and it was a fist fight between him and the hitter every single time. And there's not more of a guy I think I would avoid in a fist fight than probably Jon Lester.
Right.
I mean, that is a guy, when it came down to it, I mean, he, the big moments never scared him. He never, changed. He was unbelievable. And so just being able to watch him and, the way that he has gone about it has been awesome.
Now that you're in the organization, have you had a chance to meet him?
I have not yet. I'm hoping in the future I'll be able to talk to him, kind of pick his brain, stuff like that. But it's a guy that, obviously I would love to talk to, and, hopefully if he has time, we can knock that out.
Awesome. Okay. Before we get into fan questions, I'll start it off with a fun question that I like to ask a lot of the first round picks from the Cubs. $3.1 million signing bonus. What did you spend your first dollar on from that signing bonus?
So the first thing I bought was an engagement ring for my wife.
Ah, that's awesome.
We got engaged actually like right before the draft. And then so that was probably the first thing. I'd always wanted a truck. So I bought myself a truck, and then we built our house.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that was the first couple things that I bought. And so yeah, it's worked out.
It's a life-changing moment, man. I'm sure going back to that feeling, it probably gives you goosebumps, huh?
Yeah, it definitely does. That's for sure.
Awesome. All right, let's get into some fan questions. The very first one, and these are all from Twitter. SPD Cubs 26. How does Jordan feel about the Fear the Frames nickname? I absolutely love it. Also, let him know that I can't wait to see him dominating on the mound this season.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I thought the cool one was, I know Obvious Shirts made one. I want to say it was in 23, and it was like me and Assad both on there.
Nice.
Like in the two lenses with like the Fear of the Frames. And I thought that was cool. Me and Javi had a good laugh about that. You know, me and Javi were talking about this last year in spring training, and I was watching him throw one of his pens, and I was talking to him because he would throw, and his glasses kept, you know, like every pitch they would just like slide down, which is a pretty common thing, you know, when
Yeah.
you're wearing glasses. I'm like, how do you not? So I have these things. There's just these little things on Amazon. They're like yay big, and they're clips. So they're like little like not like
Okay.
nylon clips, and
Yeah.
they just hook behind the ears, and you don't see them, you don't notice them, but they just hold them in place. And I gave a pair to Javi. I think he thought they were the greatest thing ever. He didn't have to worry about his glasses falling off all the time.
That's awesome. Yeah. And by the way, Joe, just like the way that guy's mind works for obvious
Oh,
shirts, it just never stops.
he's awesome.
He is so cool. SA Jewel 10. Do you abide by any certain health and nutrition plan to help you with your performance and recovery during the season? I know we just talked about preseason. What about during the season?
Yeah, I think it'll look a little different this year. Obviously, doing a little bit more nutrition and health wise in the off season. So it'll be a little bit different. I think, you know, it'll be a lot more for me. It's, you know, try to keep it up with a lot of water, a lot of hydration, especially, you know, when you're on an airplane and traveling from city to city as much as we are. Being up there at elevation and coming back down, you got to make sure you're hydrated because, you know, things like that will sneak up on you. And for me, it's, you know, we have supplements we take every day to try and help with that, just like, you know, your vitamins and things like that. And collagen is a big one that I've gotten into recently, that, you know, I've heard great things about, and honestly, I feel like it has helped a lot. So collagen is something that I try and take as regularly as I can. I need to be better about it, but, you know, that's one of the things that I know has really helped people, and it's helped me as well.
Well, you can use these words from me to your wife if you want, but my wife makes me a milkshake every morning and it has collagen protein in it. So
Yep.
you can put that on her if you want. Cubs need a closer says, what was the biggest hurdle being from small town Arkansas and getting used to big city Chicago lifestyle?
That is a good question. His username's hilarious too.
Yeah.
But man, honestly, just like, you know, just getting around, really, like the transportation, you know, like getting to and from the field and the traffic, things like that. And, you know, we talk about all the time that we are in each area like the best time of the year. You know, you have Chicago summers, you got springs in Arizona, and the falls in Arkansas are great. So we rotated around really nice. I think, you know, yeah, like getting around and driving. My wife still Ubers a lot in Chicago, lets other people drive. She's not a huge fan of the traffic scene in Chicago.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
most of the time she'll just Uber to the field and then ride back with me. And so, yeah, it's been awesome. The craziest thing in Chicago is you talk to all these people, and, you know, everybody's got their spots. You know, like, hey, you got to eat at this place. You got to eat at this place. You got to, you know, see all this food. And we go to places, find places we love. So we keep going back to them. And we never knock any places off of our list that people tell us to go to, because we just find the ones we like. And we're like, man, why would we go anywhere else?
It's good. It's good. What's your favorite pizza spot?
So we're big Pequods people.
Same. Yeah.
We love Pequods. We're a little bit more of a fan of the kind of not so much like the chains, like Giordano's is good. But we're like, if you're going to come to Chicago and get the experience, we feel like Pequods is a little bit more of the like authentic Chicago pizza.
I finally had tavern pizza when I was at CubsCon. I'd never had that before.
Good stuff.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Good stuff.
That made Pequods like 1A and 1B to the tavern pizza. So anyway,
Arizona spot, Spinato's in Arizona.
Spinato's. Okay. And that's got tavern pizza?
Yes.
Okay.
Just trust me. When you come down for spring training, just Spinato's. Trust me.
Spinato. I might have to message you about that name again, because I'm probably going to forget that between now and then. Hey, Chai Sports Fan 18, is there a specific pitch you're looking to improve on most this offseason? I know you said the cutter you want to incorporate a little bit more.
Yeah, I think I think for me, I wouldn't so much as kind of classify it as, one pitch. I think, the breaking balls always have kind of been, if there was a part of my game that needed to be improved, it's not a mystery that it was the breaking balls.
Mm.
And I think we got, the shapes kind of where we want them. And now I think it's just kind of a little bit of the command element, which I feel like last year when I was, right before I went down with the forearm, we were in the best spot with all those. We had, command with the curveball, the slider, and then, missing that much time with the forearm and then the oblique. I didn't so much focus on the rehab. I should have done a better job on the rehab assignments of getting the breaking balls back before I came up. But, that's part of me, not being experienced at trying to come back from, injuries and understanding what you need to put or what you need to work on before coming back.
Cool. Last fan question here. Maddie Applesauce, can you change the glasses to the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar style?
So when I was like, I want to say like 8 years old, I had the like black thick goggles, of, that kind of thing. My travel coaches loved it because they always thought it was more of like they always wanted to put like a little piece of tape in the middle for like the Wild Thing glasses.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was something I definitely had when I was younger, but it was those, I get a lot of funny gifs and pictures about it. And so I enjoy it. I have a good time with it.
That's good, man. I would feel like I didn't do a fully great job for our audience if I didn't at least ask you one more question just about the team. Does this feel like a year for you guys? And I'm more so asking not just from your standpoint, but just the vibe you're getting from all the guys that we've got to make the playoffs this year. It's not about like, hey, we're going to try our best. It's like, this is now a must just because of the way the last 2 seasons have gone, where there just seems to be this great momentum, but just at the wrong times, you guys fall on hard times. Does it just feel like there's this sense of unfinished business that has to be addressed this year?
Yeah, I definitely think, that's everybody's, everybody's goal is not only to make the playoffs, but to try and make a run. Whenever you start out the season, that's always the goal. And, there's obviously, roadblocks in the season, but I feel like this year is the biggest kind of combination of like experience, talent, and like young upside that we've had since I've been here. Bringing in a guy like Matt Boyd, I feel like does a lot to that because I've talked to him like twice at CubsCon, like those 2 days, and have really enjoyed talking to him and just kind of asking him questions and things like that. And he surprised me, and he was talking to me, and he was like, man, I've watched a bunch of your stuff, man. You got great stuff. And I'm like, man, I didn't even know this guy knew who I was.
Yeah.
And so it was cool to kind of talk to him
cool.
and, get to pick his brain. And I'm excited to see him out here and watch some of his pens and all of that stuff. But yeah, this is, I think, the most, like depth and talent and experience combination that I've seen since I've been here. And so I'm really excited for the season.
Jordan Wicks, thank you a million times. Really appreciate you jumping on here, and hope the audience loves what we had to chat about today.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.